One of the things I love about dream work is that dreams give us the insights into our lives that enable us to make changes, either to ourselves or to situations that make us uncomfortable. One of the things I've also found is that for a lot of my clients, they are very reluctant to make those changes, even when they know that they're in their best interest to do so. This calls into question the very nature of change itself. And for this, I'm happy to welcome my guest today, Sharon Weil. Sharon has long been involved in the conversation about courage and change in her roles as author, activist, award-winning filmmaker, and somatic educator. She's the author of the books ChangeAbility, How Artists, Activists, and Awakeners Navigate Change, and the ChangeAbility Playbook, How to Navigate Your Own Change. And she is the host of the podcast, Passing for Normal. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Sharon.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm so happy to be with you.
So, Sharon, you talk about change in the context of changeability. What is changeability and how do we develop it?
Changeability is really the ability to adapt to change in a more effective, efficient, flexible way. I feel that the ability to adapt to change is really the most important skill or tool we can develop in our times that we're living in right now. And how do we develop more changeability?
Yes.
How do we develop more changeability? Yeah. Well, it has to do with really, first of all, accepting that change is happening all the time. The world is moving constantly, change is moving, it's never not changing. And then once we accept, we may not like the changes that we're in or that the changes that we're facing, but to at least accept that they're happening is the first thing. And then to be able to reframe how we think about change, so that we can meet change in a more flexible way.
And so what are some of the ways we can rethink about change?
So again, I was saying to just accept the change is. I'm a somatic educator as well as an author in the things that you mentioned. And so I really look at everything in terms of movement. And so I like to look at change in terms of the movement of change. And so when we're looking at the movement of change, I'm either aligned with the movement of change, I'm aligned with the existing movement of change, or I'm in resistance to it. It's really one or the other. I'm either in the flow or I'm in resistance to the flow. And so just to understand that there are ways, there are tools that we can learn to help us align with the existing movement of change. So first of all, there's like 4 steps that I outline in my books. One is you locate the nature of the change that you're in, and you locate yourself in change. So most of the time when people are faced with big life changes, it's complex change. It's not just one thing. You move to a new city. Maybe it's because you have a new job, or maybe it's because you've changed your relationship, or maybe it's because you're dissatisfied with where you are. But whenever we make a big life change, there's many other changes that are cascading off of that change. And so to be able to tease apart what those changes are, and to understand that sometimes when we're reacting to change or responding to change or in resistance to change, it's not necessarily the change itself, it's the speed of the change. Maybe it's too fast or too slow to where we're comfortable. Everyone's sort of habituated at a certain speed. I like things slow and incremental. Other people just like to go for it and go after it. And so it could be the speed of change. It could be the unseen nature of change. A lot of people say, I didn't see it coming. It was shocking. And if it's traumatic, it can you really are dealing with shock as well as the change itself. And so I find that there's change is always coming from someplace. Even if we can't see it, there's a trajectory that we can't see, and then we see it like the iceberg coming out of the water, and then we don't see where it's going. And so again, how comfortable you are with the unseen nature of this existence will determine that. And so, and the internal or external aspects of change. You know, is this an internal change? Is this coming from inside of me? Is this like a change that's being imposed on me? How do I feel about being dragged around by change? So there are different ways in which we can locate ourselves in change. Then we look at our resistance and how to dissolve resistance, and I know we'll get into that a little bit more. And then how to align ourselves with change with these 7 principles that I've identified are common in all change situations. And then, of course, there's the stepping in, the having courage and finding ways to feel supported in stepping into the change that you need to make.
I see that exactly. And just as an example, because I always like to use examples, I'll give the example of myself today, and we can discuss this. I got on the scale this morning and I looked at the numbers and said,
Yeah,
oh, you know what? I ought to lose, like I can stand to lose a good 5 pounds. But in the same breath, I'm thinking, you know, it's a gorgeous day out today and I'm going to get hot and warm. And I'm probably going to want to have some ice cream later today, which of course would defeat the purpose or the goal of trying to lose weight. So why do I say, on the one hand, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to make the change to let that happen?
Okay, well, you want to lose weight because you want to lose weight for any number of reasons, right? The reason that you let the ice cream entice you more than the goal that you've set is because you really don't have a compelling enough reason why. You know, one of the 7 principles of change is called spark fire, and it has to do with courage and passion and love and all the reasons why we, you know, what sparks us to make the change, what fuels the change. But really what it's talking about is, what is my compelling reason why? Why am I making this change? And a lot of times the changes that we want to make are not really, we don't really have compelling reasons why. So let me just say quickly that the 7 principles are: bring awareness, listen deeply, which has to do with feedback and understanding that our world is giving us feedback all the time in many forms. And listening doesn't just mean listening with your ears. It means, you know, through all the senses. Find community, which speaks to finding support and finding help for everything that you do. Proceed incrementally, which we talked about, which has to do with the strategy and moving incrementally, whether you're moving step by step forward or in a spiral. Align with nature has to do with proper timing, you know, aligning with the seasons, aligning with really understanding that there is a proper timing for your change. And that sometimes if we're not successful in a change, it's not the time. You know, you want to lose those 5 pounds in the dead of winter, probably isn't the best time. It's cold, you need warming foods. It's, you know, there are better times than others. And for me, I find that aligning with the energies of the seasons gives you the best opportunity for aligning with timing. Have hope, which we talked about, and spark fire. And so these can be applied to personal change as well, and relationship change and social change.
Do you see a way the dreams facilitate or affect our behavior and our ability to change?
Well, so another one of the 7 principles of change is called have hope. And hope includes imagination, it includes desire, it includes dreaming, it includes all of those ways in which we are lifted, all of those ways in which we are that which has not yet come into form is made apparent to us, right? So sometimes people say, oh, I'm dreaming about, you know, having a new career, or I'm dreaming, or, you know, I want this, I'm hoping, I'm imagining. Our dreams actually give us clues, right? They tell us what it is that we really desire. You know, a lot of people want to make changes and they're even afraid to dream, or they're even afraid to imagine what that might be. And so I feel that our dreams are are ways of communicating with us and telling us what it is that we really do want or what might be good for us. They can act as a guide. And then, it's a relationship between the dreaming, between the have hope and the spark fire. It's like the have hope, the dream, the imagination. It's kind of like it sets up the volleyball and the spark fire, hits it over the net.
What got you interested in this in the first place?
So I wrote a novel called Donny and Ursula Save the World, which was a funny novel, like a romantic comedy about these mismatched lovers that through the power of Eros, through the power of their attraction for one another, did things beyond whatever they could imagine. And it's a funny book. It's all about GMOs. It's political. But in that book was what does it take to be brave? And when is it time when people will step up and say enough is enough? What is that point that each person has to reach when they'll say enough is enough? And that was really what drove that book for me. So much so that I wanted to talk to activists and change makers and people that I found doing really interesting things with change across many different fields. And so I started this podcast, Passing for Normal, conversations with artists, activists, and awakeners about seeding change in the world. And in my interviews, I started to hear common things that people were saying about people that I was really respecting about how they approach change. And this listen deeply was really the first thing emerged as the common point that people were referring to, that all these people, before they went out and set out to do something, they listened, they asked questions, they went into genuine inquiry about what is needed here. Or if they went in with a great idea, they listened and they went, oh, maybe this isn't such a great idea. Maybe this isn't what's needed. Maybe something else is needed.
So my final question to you is, how can people find out about your books and find out about you?
Well, the easiest way is my website, which is SharonWeil.com. That's SharonWeil author.com. And there you can find out about my books and the podcast and the movement work that I do, Continuum, also called The Ageless Body. You can find the books wherever you buy books.
Thank you, Sharon, for being a guest on the Dream Power Show today.